Compassion Kenya celebrates 40 years. And we celebrate 40 years knowing very well that there are people who laid the foundation for where we are today. There are people who laid the foundation for what we are seeing today. Today, Compassion has or is celebrating around 130,000 children and youth in the program. More than 60,000 have exited the program. In that celebration, or in that, there are people that we need to honor. We need to hear their stories. We need to see how far we have come as Compassion. And so today, we have an interview session just to have people tell the story of Compassion. Are you excited about that? Yes. Are you excited? Let me see people who are excited. Are you excited about hearing the stories? We want to hear those stories. Some of these stories will challenge us, and the challenges will be able to push us to the next level. Praise the name of the Lord. So I want to first play some videos which I want you to watch keenly before I invite the people who are going to be on the bench.
Ebenezer, this far the Lord has brought us. Ebenezer, compassion to the Sherikea. Ebenezer, this far the Lord has brought us. Ebenezer, hata sasa Mungu ametusaidia. We believe children are a gift from God. They should be loved, nurtured and protected. We seek to release them from spiritual poverty, economic poverty, social and physical poverty. Watoto wastahili upendo.
Let's give a round of applause to Kinga James as he comes. James, you're welcome. George Onyango. Georgie, let's clap for Georgie as he comes. Take a seat. The third person who appears in most of the photos, so he's not is Kennedy Wanjala. Let's clap for Kennedy Wanjala. He appears in most of the photos, so he doesn't have Great. So let's clap for Kennedy as he comes. There is another person whose video is reserved for during commercial break or break, and that is Sangok. Let's clap for Sangok as he comes. We will watch Sangok is special. Let's clap for him as he comes. This is special. We need some mic. Karibuni sana. The team of these are the veterans. I think from their story we will know when they came in, how Compassion was then, and I'm going to drop the first question: is who came before who?
I think I found Ken here.
Oh, you found Ken, and which year was that?
That was in 1991.
1991. Let's clap for Ken. Yes, George.
Yeah, for sure I also found Kel, and he's the one who invited me to, when I walked in, he's the one who invited me.
Oh, he invited you at the is it at the reception? Or?
At the reception, because when I walked in, by then we used to have a kind of a template where you apply. And Ken is the one who did a photocopy for me, where I kind of applied my video. Yeah.
Kennedy, tell us now. All is pointing at you. When did you come to Compassion? Compassion found you here? If they all found you and they came 91, you came, that was when? Even when you were doing part-time? 80 something, 90?
Around 90 years.
Around 90. Now, there is something about you four that I have observed, and I will just show some pictures here, and that is to do with friendship. Your friendship dates back to the years. This is, looking at this, it must be 19, maybe 93 there. I was wondering, how are you guys communicating? Is it that everybody had this kind of setup, the phone call, or how was it? Sangok, you can elaborate on that. And tell us the growth, what you have seen changing in Compassion.
Yeah, there's a lot of growth. We have experienced growth in Compassion. We started with a shared computer in the entire office. We were sharing a desktop computer. And this was a standalone. A standalone means a computer that's just standing alone, not connected to anything else.
Wow.
So that's how we started, and it was not connected to the internet. If you just go in there, type your things, and print out. We had the dot matrix printers, and that's what we used until now, when we came to a time when we had Windows for Work groups. Windows for Work groups is when now computers were interconnected. Mm-hmm. And during that time, we were doing long distance calls to Colorado Springs. You call Colorado Springs, we had what we called a morning and evening procedure to download and upload emails. So you dial Colorado, that's an international call, mm-hmm. very expensive. And then you get into the server, and we were using a DOS program that was designed by Compassion staff. Doug Carlson designed a program that would download email on a DOS program and a DOS-based program. And then after downloading, you print the emails on paper. You distribute to individuals. Wow. On paper.
No, if you're getting, I want you to pay attention, because there will be a question session.
Yes, after distributing to respective individuals, they will write responses on that paper, and then they bring back, and then they are typed in. Lynette was a very quick, fast typist, so she would type in the responses, and then after she has typed in, then we dial Colorado for now the evening procedure to upload emails back to Colorado. Wow. So those are responses. And then the following morning, the same thing again repeats itself, where we do a morning procedure to download now new email. And that's how we used to operate. And by the way, that was 1993 when Compassion had email. There was no email anywhere in Kenya during that time.
So only
email
Compassion
came to Kenya in 1997.
Wow.
So, and people then did not know email, they didn't know internet. They would talk about internet when they are talking about email. So, but Compassion already was in the system.
Wow.
Yes, in 1993.
Let's thank God for that. Let's clap for, being pioneers in Kenya, right? In terms of, I'm just wondering, the other day, 2 days, we did not have internet. And it was almost a crisis for, not almost, was it a crisis, Wambugu? I think it was a crisis.
Yes.
Yeah, and I'm surprised that that was the process. That,
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, for connectivity, we were using a coaxial cable. Coaxial cable is thicker than this. This is called Ethernet cable. So we started with a coaxial cable. And this was done by people who are imported from Colorado Springs. Our administrators, our engineers in Compassion. Doug Carlson was there, and Bruce Hanson was there. So they are the ones who came, dragged cables, and connected us to the first network, coaxial cable.
Looking at that picture, what is that? There are those machines.
In
I
that
have not
picture,
seen. Is it a server? What is this exactly?
That's our server room.
That's a server room.
You know, and at the extreme left hand, there are 2 servers there. Those are towers, mini towers. And those servers used to be imported from Colorado Springs. And they are configured. We configured them. And it has everything. It has email. It has, we also used to have a program called Solomon for accounting. So that was the program for accounting. It was in there. And then we also used to have email, MS Mail. It was MS Mail. And the other program was just the office programs. So, and the scanner is there. There's a scanner on the extreme right. And of course, there are some diskettes down there. So basically, these are 2 computers. You see they are connected to each computer respectively. So the monitors. So because we did not then have technology of switching between the 2. So we used independent monitors.
Let's clap for Sankok for that. And we will come back to Sankok because Sankok, I said we will play the video. Sankok is special because we are talking about around 200,000, 130,000 children in the program, 60,000 or more that have exited the program. And Sankok is beneficiary number 008. Let's clap for Sankok. We will get back to that. Aginga, we talk about photography and the communication between Compassion Kenya and and Colorado, and we also talk about letters. And I'm so interested in finding out, now that they were struggling like that about emails, how are letters going to the US so that SDSA team can understand where we are coming from?
I think let me start with photos. At that particular time, we used to use what we would call the single lens camera, and we had films. And so you had to when you were going to the field, you had to pack an S&G list, and then you also had to pack a number board where we would write the children numbers, and then you would have, of course, a camera and then also films. And so after taking the photos, which were actually in portrait form, okay.
Could that be the number board?
Yes, the one I'm holding on the on the right.
Yes.
Was the number board. Okay. Yeah.
So tell us, in fact, you can tell us what's happening there. Is Georgie becoming a beneficiary, or what is the number board about?
I think this was one of the trainings. One of our former colleagues, some of you met Violet. We were training her, and so I would hold the board so that they can be able to position the photo in a good way and take it.
Wow.
But this was much later when we had started taking a full photo. But previously it was just portrait.
Okay.
That's all that we needed. So after that, we would take with the films. You had to come with the films, and then at that time, the late Justas would take them to the studio. It would take about a week for them to be processed, and then they would be brought back, and then you had to match the photos with the negatives, put them in an envelope, write the numbers of the kids on the envelopes, place them neatly, and then match them to what we were calling the case studies. Pack them together in a packing slip, and then that would be now shipped to what we were calling then Colorado Springs.
How long did it take to have them? A sheep will take how long?
I think the updates would go by air, but sometimes the letters would go by ship, which would take maybe a month.
A month.
Before they get there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Let's go to George. George here has a history about cooking. In fact, he was hired as a cook and a cleaner.
Yeah, but I think before we go on there, it's
Yes.
these letters, if I can remember very well, we used to, especially on Friday, I remember the package used to be addressed to Angie Lathrop, somebody like that. And I can remember us carrying these things. Remember, we coordinated very well with Aginga those days because Aginga is the one who gave me also the mantle. So I can remember when we used to pack these things, carry them, in a matatu or in a bus. We could drop at Kencom House, then we walk all the way to City Square. And the City Square, remember, you could not be able to even to seal the parcel. You have to carry them, then you go and seal them at the City Square. You have to go and buy the stamps. You have to do all these kind of things at the post office. So it used to be very, very tedious. But that's how things used to be. I joined Compassion as a cleaner. I used to work for 2 hours. Then I could leave. But later on, the team thought that I could be able to extend my hours. So I could work as a cleaner from 8 o'clock to around 10 o'clock. Then there was some discussion. People used to go to a place called Eaties. There's a restaurant somewhere called Eaties. And by 1 o'clock, people could go to make a queue. And they could take longer. People could come around 2:30. So it came a time that just the team agreed that why can't we be able to contribute some money? And the whole team accepted to do that, so we could be able to go buy some bread, maziwa mala. We could be able to buy some sweet potatoes. We could buy some corn, maize corn. And those were the things that we used to eat. So I could come and prepare for them, then I could go. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So we've come from far. So you would be the one to cook literally the...
Yes.
What were you cooking then?
Yes, we could be able to cook ugali. We could be able to cook sweet potatoes. We could be able to cook some maize corn. So, I mean, it was a combination of... It was kind of like... what we normally go through to this time, but it was in a small portion.
Looking at that picture, people who are smiling, where is this? Is this Mombasa? And I can see a Ginga. There is a lady I can't tell, but you can tell us who she is.
Yeah.
And I can see yourself.
Yes, this was, I think, the first retreat that I attended in 1994, and I can still be able to remember the theme.
The theme of the retreat.
The theme of the retreat.
What was the theme?
The theme was the deeper things.
Wow.
Yeah, the deeper things. I remember Dan Brewster was the one who was. He was the one who was. He was the keynote. Yes. So this one we were at the Fort Jesus. So we went there to see just how things used to be at the Fort Jesus.
Anybody who can remember the theme for the Nini that we had this year? Is it this year or last year? There is a present. John Bosco, the theme for retreat. Much deeper things. Anybody, there is a present. Water, air. Was that the theme? Let's clap for this gentleman. I mean, you are remembering a theme for 1994, and here people. Yeah, now, this gentleman is the one who printed the Nini for you to get the job. Wow. So tell us, how are you? I mean, what was the recruitment process? I'm just wondering, you're printing a template. Was it Nini so that HR Isaac is there? You can see where we are coming from.
Okay, I think Combustion then had a template that required particular details of the applicant.
Maybe tell us the process now. I mean, were there newspapers? Yes, there were. But were you putting adverts on newspapers because there was no internet then?
Okay, I was just coming there.
Okay.
So, internally, there's a template that each applicant either would collect. But prior to that, Combustion never used to put its application or advert in the newspaper.
Why?
I think there are several things either. One, there will be the multitude of people of applicants you may not be able to deal with. And two, there was the issue of trust. You see, trust and honest. How do you get someone who will be trustworthy and honest? Because you realize many people come in many forms. Once they are given an opportunity to apply for a job, they would. So what Combustion used to do, they would write letters to, I remember very well, Nairobi Baptist Church, All Saints Cathedral, this is NPC, but NPC wasn't that vibrant then. It was just kind of coming up. Then we had Nairobi Chapel, Pastor Oscar. So we would deliver these letters to them, actually kind of informing them actually Combustion needs a person of this caliber. So actually then the church would kind of refer, there would be applicants to Combustion. And when they come in, they would be given the template to fill. And that's how Combustion is to advertise.
Wow. So you will basically focus on the church
Yes.
to be able to recruit people.
Yeah. In essence, actually, they are looking for faithful and trustworthy people who are well known by their pastors.
Wow. Now, you have been a facility technician for at this place. Eh? I want to know the facilities then, and you can tell us from not Kindaruma, from Newton. Where were you? Here, okay. From Studio House, I believe. You can tell us that journey briefly. Tell us that journey.
Okay.
The seats you were sitting on, the tables. Just give us. We want to get that picture.
Well, okay. Let me go a little bit back. Having moved from running the ministry from the house, now this is Lynette Walters, Dan Brewster joined her here. He was in World Vision previously, then he joined Combustion. So the ideal office where the Combustion applicants are now ideal office was on Wood Avenue. Wood Avenue towards Lenana, towards now the New Life Home on Wood Avenue. That's where the Combustion began. And then we had like staff like Tina Luvanda, Salome Inga. The normal office setup was just the normal secretary desk. I don't know if you know, they used to be like executive or it's not the furniture like we have right now. They're just the normal desk with cushioned seats like the ones either we're sitting on, and the back would be either wood as they are. And that's where we began. Then from there, we moved from once staff started increasing, I think the landlord began being misbehaving on rent-related issues. And then at one time, city council came and plugged the sign, the Combustion sign from the gate. So they realized now we are in danger of being harassed by the city council guys. Then they moved from there to Studio House now. I think second floor, about, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wow, that is a story. Now, we have a few minutes to the end, and I'll need the audience to ask a few questions. But I want Sankok being beneficiary number 008. And again, benefiting by getting employment, with Compassion International. You must have seen the impact compassion has had in Kenya. And that is firsthand, being a beneficiary and working for compassion and just, seeing lives being transformed. In a brief way, can you tell us the impact, real firsthand, that you have seen of compassion in Kenya, both to the youth, to the child and youth, to the community, to the church? Tell us.
I can actually just summarize that it works. That's how I would summarize. And with having gone through the program, by then there was no LDP and all that. So we only had what we call now CDSP. And basically, the whole thing was summed up in was one whole thing. Basically, back in school, where I started, because it was in Narok, KE 100, I was number 008. And Lynette was the one who took us photos. She would come and take photos, tell us, cheka kidogo, and then some of us were crying, and some of us didn't know at all what was happening. And then we were taking photos, we were registered. And through the process, some of us would get sponsors just like now, and some didn't get sponsors. So at times you would ask, when gifts are coming, some children don't get, and some get. Some are lucky. Every time they will get something, very nice things. And so in the entire process, I've enjoyed the sponsorship. Down there, we had children who did not even have a meal, and they would bring their siblings to come and have lunch with us. And we were lucky in the school where I was in. We were very lucky because we got the sponsorship, and there was also the government sponsorship. So in our school, we had very good uniform, just similar to what you'd get in a secondary school. We had very good meals. We had a balanced diet, and including meat almost every day.
Wow.
So it was really balanced. We were healthy. Actually, you can tell when we went to Narok, you can tell our school from all the other primary schools because we were neat and healthy. Even our songs were remembered for many years. The songs we used to sing when we were led by Nancy, that was our primary school, lower primary school teacher. She was the one leading us. And I even met her the other day. She's still the same. She hasn't changed. As we were doing a fundraiser in the church, she was there, just as vibrant as before. So these things are real, and I've seen a lot of changes. Children who went through the program with us now can be identified. They are key leaders in the community. You can tell, you can easily pick them from the rest of the society. So the program works. We have attained spiritual growth, economic growth. When you talk about academic, we've grown academically, cognitive. So we have met all the facets that are needed in the program. You can easily trace. We have stable families. Our children no longer require the sponsorship because we are out of poverty, and it can be traced. And we thank God for that.
Wow, let's clap for the Lord for it's a testimony that as indicates that basically people will not have lunch, and they came to Compassion and got lunch. Now it is time for you, the audience, to ask a few questions. You shoot up your hand, you ask a question to any one of them, and then we get feedback. It's 8:58. I request that you give us just 10 more minutes and we will be done kindly because this is important. So, any question? You want to shoot a question to any one of them, yeah, as we come to an end? There is a question by Chukulisa. And we are live, sorry, I forgot to mention, we are live on YouTube, Compassion YouTube channel. So, yes, you will be on TV. Chukulisa, let's get Chukulisa on TV.
Yes, thank you very much, Dan. My question is to any one of them. From the time they began in the journey they have come thus far, I will want to ask, what is it that they will want to be happening now that happened then that is important? What is it that they will feel needs to be revived? It could be regarding programming, it could be regarding this ministry, the staff, welfare, or what have you. What is it that they will want revived or come back that was happening then that should happen now?
Wow.
Secondly,
Yes.
I believe the durability of something like a building is the foundation that is laid.
Yes.
And I'm really thinking for them to have come this far and being in this ministry for these years, then there is something or there's a kind of foundation that has been made that made them to be durable. So what is this foundation? What is this good foundation that they had received back then when they joined Compassion that has kept them this far?
Wow. Thank you. Do we want to pick another question or we respond to that first? I think we can respond as somebody else is thinking about the question. So the first question by Chukulisa. Yes, Aginga.
I think for me, probably what I would want to continue is the unity of the staff. But I know we've grown, and I think with growth comes different circumstances. People are different. People have different priorities. But I think one of the things that was very, very important in the early times when I joined Compassion was the unity. And as one of the former Compassion presidents used to say, it was all about Jesus. And because of that, I remember when I got married, the whole staff came and attended my wedding, which was very, very good. When we were blessed with a child, a son. Again, at that time, we were about 13, 14, and again, the whole office closed, and they were able to come to to our place so that they could celebrate with me. So it was actually a place of love. You could feel the love. People were with you, genuine love. People were very sincere, and that is something that I'd like to be able to see it continue. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. Let's clap for Aginga, even as Georgie picks the next question.
Yeah, you asked really what kept us here. I believe it is the love of Jesus. And if I remember very well, we used to have devotion every day. And those words, people, we knew that by 8 o'clock, you get late at that time, you really feel that you are not doing the right thing. So the devotion was something that was highly respected. You had to be there by 8 o'clock sharp. You are there, and indeed, those words. I remember the Bible that you used to have. You used to have a Compassion Bible. Those were Good News Bibles. They were all there, and those were really the time. And to me, if you could be able to ask me what really keeps me here, it is that love of Jesus that you could be able to really to experience through the brethren. You could be able to see the love. Each and every person, you see Jesus Christ is being glorified. And that's really the same thing that I still desire, that you may be able to grow in the Lord. Yeah.
Okay, yes, something else?
It's actually the love of God and the trust that you have for each other that will keep you going. That should be cemented by love and trust. When there is love, definitely you hide a multitude of sins. And when there is no love, that thing will never. As I said, with these guys, we were vulnerable to each other. You can actually open up and fight and still keep on going. as friends. So that's it.
Great. Yes, Wanjala.
Just to add on what I've said, I think understanding what the ministry stands for and doing things that when you look back in the village, actually, you either escaped by a whisker and you'd want to do whatever you're able to do within your power. You may not be able to kind of like sponsor a child fully there, but if you can find yourself doing something that someone somewhere is benefiting, it gives you the joy of wanting to serve even much more. Because you see, as I stand here, it's not just him alone that you're mentioning. But when I look back here, you know, I remember one time I was sharing a devotion and it was on bearing much fruit. Compassion, we didn't have any child in a secondary school as at then. I think they were all in lower primary schools. And when I shared a devotion on bearing much fruit, how do we keep ourselves in a position to bear much fruit? From the 7 staff we are this much. From the few, maybe like 5,000 to 20,000, 18,000 children that we hand, how many do we have now? There are many. And when you see that coming and you realize actually the system works, it's not just by word, but you can evidently say, this child was this needy, he's been put from this position to this position, you want to even serve much more.
Wow. That's amazing. So the word greener pastures to you never applied. Anyway, another question. We are coming to an end. Any last question? If there is no question, that means we have really addressed. Eugene? Oh, Eugene has a question. Okay.
I wanted to find out, were sponsor visits happening then, and what were they like?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the visits used to happen, but the main people who used to facilitate those visits were actually what we used to call at that time project coordinators. They're the ones who would do all the visits. Later on, they had a host who was, at that time, one David Oduno, played a part in being a visit host. And then later on, we also joined as part of sponsor and donor ministry team. That was a name at that time. We also joined, and we would be able to take the visitors to be able to see their kids. It was not formal. They would just come, and you'd make sure that you take the sponsor to be able to see their children. A few times, sometimes we would be conned by the churches where kids were not necessarily needy. You would be taken to a fake house, fake family, but they used to happen. Thank you.
Thank you so much. You have a question?
Yeah. Tell us a little about the PFs. Did they have vehicles? Did they get TAs? How was that all accounted for? How many were they? Who was the first PF? I'd like to know all that. Thank you.
Okay. So now who picks that?
I really don't know, but if talking about the vehicles, I can remember we used to have there was a KBZ, that was a Trooper, 312, if I remember. We used to have also a Trooper, the Isuzu Trooper, that was 831 and 832. Those were the vehicles that were meant for the field. And there was also another Subaru that we used to use as for the office errands. There were only 3 vehicles, if I can be able to remember. And in the area of TA, I might not be able really to talk much about, because by then I could only be able to see those vehicles, because I was not directly involved in assigning or any form of in the area of the vehicles. Yeah.
Who was the first PF? That question.
Okay. Among the first PFs we had was Jim Ondeng. We had Othuno. Remember Othuno? David Othuno. We had George Ambayo, who was a PF at the same time auditor. We had as you mentioning. Then we had George Kitonga. Then we had Lea Kimani. And as at that time, I think just before he got in, The first vehicle combustion I had was, I haven't forgotten that number. It was a KVC 200 Honda Civic, cream in color. Yeah.
So is he Olerenke? Him? Is he the?
Dr. Oleronke. He's currently in the building bridges, one of the 7 people.
Hii BBI tunasikia hii. Okay. You have, Joel has a question.
So, Julius, you mentioned something about that it's like you are in a school. Was the program then, were we in partnership with schools or in church, or has it always been that we have been in partnership with church?
Yes, we've been in partnership with the church. That was Salvation Army. Compassion used to partner with Salvation Army. Salvation Army is a church, not an army, and that's where it's there up to now. It's still in that location. So we partnered with the church. Yeah.
I think when I joined, the projects were actually partnering with schools, but the schools had to be sponsored by a church. So all the projects were actually in schools, Emabui Primary School, Sirabe, Shiandukusi, and so on and so forth, Enanga, yeah. But
so,
yeah, that was the model at that time.
So how was it working? So so every child in the primary school was sponsored as long as, or how was it working? Was it a one-to-one sponsorship, or how was it working?
It was still one-to-one sponsorship, if I remember well, but the money would be used to actually run the program of the school. So the money would be used to buy chalk, some of it would be used to buy books, and part of it would be used to what Sankok talked about as a feeding program.
So for us, we had a feeding program as well as clothing. They bought for us clothes and shoes. So we had shoes as well. So.
Was a feeding like daily, every day you're in school? So there was no like a Saturday program like we do today?
Actually, for us, it was a daily, from Monday through Friday. And on Sunday, we must go to church. So the headmaster used to beat us when we came on Monday. And we didn't go to church. You'll be beaten. So they will take a roll. So all of us would go to church. So, and that headmaster is still a friend for me up to now because of the discipline. And he's still a very healthy man also. Interesting.
Wow.
So if you compare, sorry, allow me to ask this. So if you compare how the program runs today to the way it ran when you were there, which would you say is better?
During our time, the community was involved. The church was there, and the community. Parents would want to know what's going on in the program. So they were following through on the progress of their children, and they would attend meetings, all of them. And the same headmaster would be involved in the church and in school, and they will take a roll call. Even for parents, when they attend meetings, the teacher will be concerned of the parents who came. So parents never missed the meetings, and children themselves would also be told if your parent doesn't show up, there'll be repercussions. So they showed up, and the program was good. The turning point of our program, by the way, was misappropriation of funds by one guy who, the Salvation Army guy, because they rotate these individuals. So we had Nganda, who was a very good guy, and he ran the program nicely. He had it in his hat. And then another fellow came, and this one ate the money. And now he was given several warnings, and the program had to be closed. So that was the turning point.
Great. By the way, when he talked about beaten is kuchapwa, not kuumwa. I think there was that confusion, and somebody was wondering if you are beaten, how will you survive? And it's this spanking. Good. I mean, we could go on and on and on. There is even a question I really wanted to ask: has there any time any one of you wanted to say enough is enough with compassion? Let me pack my bags and go. That is a question I wanted to know, because sometimes people get challenged and they're like, okay, I think I just need to quit and leave. It's a question. Do you want to just quickly? It is 9:15. Is there any one of you who reached at a point and said, by the way, imetosha? Anyone? If there is none?
Absolutely. You know, when you get into the bureaucracy and those things, where you don't see God in it, sometimes you say enough is enough, and I can call it quit. Another still voice comes and tells you, you're not here for someone. You're here to represent God, and you have a mandate to fulfill. And that is the thing that keeps us going.
Wow.
Or keeps me going, to be more specific.
Thank you. Thank you.
If I can remember, one time, I think I reached a time that I really wanted to quit because of my immediate supervisor, who was, she was petty, if I can be able to say about that. You know, there was no use, I used to take tea from the kitchen, I could take to the director's office. Then one time she told me that the director said that I don't know how to serve the visitors. Wherever I walked in the office, in his office, I stepped on the toes of the visitors. So the only place she could be able to allow me to reach, I could carry the tea tray, then I bring to her office. She was the one to take it to the director's office. And I thought that was a bit petty. I really felt like, this is terrible. It should not be. In fact, at that time, that was the time that I felt that I was done. Little did I know that the then director saw my commitment and the love for the ministry. That's the time that this man said that, George, I told him I don't have education. In fact, I don't know even how to write. And he told me, George, I've seen your commitment in this ministry. And therefore, from this time, I want you to write 2 sentences, whatever you can be able to write. Bring it to me. I'll be able to take it to area office. And that's how I landed into area office. And I worked in area office where I really found great love. Then later on, I came back to Kenya office. But that's the time that when you feel like quitting, when the Lord is not yet through with you, doesn't matter what somebody may try to do to you. God will be able to help you to accomplish the work that He wanted you to accomplish.
Wow.
And I'm here. I might be in this position, but I believe that there is something that the Lord God wants me to be here to do by now. When the time comes, He'll be able to get me out from this place. Thank you.
Thank you. What a way to conclude, eh? Unless there's anybody who has ever again wanted to quit, but what a way to conclude that debate this morning. You know, nilisikia mtu mmoja akisema, manager amenikodolea macho. Now you have heard what he went through. Kukodolewa macho tu na unashtuka. Na you can hear huyu alikuwa anaambiwa. In fact aliambiwa sasa hautaserve. I'm the one who will be serving. Thank God for this morning. Thank God for this great team here. It is great to hear such stories. Let's give them a loud of applause for their stories. We will continue with this. In the next one, we will now have people who joined in, in the 2000s, sit here in the hotspot and also tell us their stories. Let's clap our hands as we have these people leave. You can shake your hands. You can shake. They have been friends, so you can even hug a brother, for being friends. There is a present that you will get, later. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Let's clap for them as they hug and shake their hands. It's been a journey. It's been a journey walking almost 30 years with the Lord. I want to this time to invite our dear sister Lynette to come and close for us. And you can also clap for me in a way.
Morning, everyone. Daniel, that was amazing. Let's give Daniel a clap.